All right, and we are live. So first of all, I want to welcome anybody that watches this video live or watches it and recorded. This is Mike Priest from Scientific Paranormal Investigations of Michigan. This is our first ever live podcast. It's something the team and I have been talking about doing for quite a long time. We've been doing investigations now for probably a little over a decade, maybe about 13, 14, 15 years, somewhere in that area. And we see a lot of other, say what?
Yeah, closer to that, 13 or 14.
Yeah. I'm just trying not to make us look any older than we already are.
No, just with this hair?
With what hair? So we kind of wanted to get on and we've seen a lot of people do some podcasts, and we kind of wanted to get in the game and just kind of talk about some of the evidence that we caught and share it with people out there. With me tonight, we've got Steve Ozerick. I'll let Steve introduce himself real quick.
I'm Steve Ozerick. Been at the team. Awesome. Actually, Mike and I joined the team right about the same time. And, we've been doing 13, 14 years, always had, things happening the entire life. And, it just led to coincidentally one day joining a team. So here we are.
Yep. Yeah, I think we joined right about the same time. And I think one of our first investigations was a bar that I think was quite dramatic for both of us.
Pepper Bottoms.
Yeah. We got in there, and, it's one of those things. A lot of people think investigations are, always active and crazy. And a lot of times what you don't realize is you're sitting down and, on the floor or on any chair that might be available, and you're just kind of chilling out and relaxing. And you go back and review evidence and find out you catch a crap ton, or sometimes you find out you catch absolutely nothing at all.
Sometimes it just seems like you're sitting in the dark talking to nothing for hours.
Yep. It's a great time to reflect. No doubt about that. But Pepper Bottoms was our first investigation. It was pretty interesting. And I know that on a future episode of our podcast, we're probably going to be showing some of the evidence that we caught from there. My lighting is going extremely crazy on me here. So let me see if I can turn that down.
And it's not the glare off your head because you're wearing a hat.
That's exactly why I wore the hat. But I know we're going to show some evidence of the things we caught at Pepper Bottoms somewhere down the road. But I think our second investigation, Steve and I did together, was a place called Johnny Cake's Candles in Romeo, which is no longer there, unfortunately. What is that place now, Steve? Do you know?
Well, it was empty for a while, then it changed, and it was a water softener business. Because being in the country, it's Romeo, Michigan. They had some rural areas, so they had people need water softeners for their pipes and their water. I'm not sure how it works myself, but it has since changed. I don't know what the new business is, but I know that they just recently moved in there within the last 6 months or so.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean, let's kind of talk about who we are. We're jumping kind of into things, and obviously this is our first podcast, so this is kind of new to us as well. But we've been doing investigations in the Metro Detroit area, like I said, for about 14 years. Our primary focus is probably, Rochester. We've gone Lake Orion, out to West Bloomfield, Romeo, obviously. We have traveled with some colleagues from some other TAPS family teams, TAPS being the Atlantic Paranormal Society, which most people know from Ghost Hunters on the Sci-Fi Channel and Discovery Plus now. So we are the TAPS family affiliate for the local Detroit area,
right.
Which is nice because...
Yeah, we're Macomb, Oakland County area, some Wayne. We go further than that, but for anybody that's familiar with the area, that's mainly where we're focused at.
Yeah. And the nice thing about being affiliated with TAPS is it gives us an opportunity to kind of meet with some TAPS family teams from outside of the state. So we've had some opportunities to travel to, Waverly Hills and Ohio State Reformatory and some other things like that, and really build some camaraderie with some of the other people in our field. So we've been doing this for a while, and I think our second investigation, Steve and I together, was, as I said, Johnny Cake's. And one of the things that we really find important when we do an investigation is the concept of trying to debunk what's going on. There's always a lot of claims of what's happening. A lot of people say they have this happening, they have that happening, and we really try to approach it from a scientific, strategic way to try to see if we can prove there's something normal happening. And if we can't prove that, then we kind of lean more into the paranormal, something beyond the normal of what we typically see happening. So we're going to show a quick video clip, and this is the one we're going to focus on tonight, where we tried to debunk what was happening. The client said that as they were there making candles in this little corner of the shop, that the door behind them would open on its own. So we were like, okay, well, let's dig into this and see what's going on with it. Go ahead, Steve. You're going to say something?
Yeah, and a little history of the building itself. So Romeo, Michigan is a very old community. 1800s is when, a lot of the buildings started being built. This particular building was built in the late 1800s. It was originally the town pharmacy. So people go there for, a lot of people go in there for obviously their pharmaceuticals, other things, and the area in question was the actual pharmacist area. It's what they converted and they used to make their candles in.
Yep. So with that, we're going to show a quick video here of just some of the strategies we use when we're trying to debunk, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. So without further ado, let's pull that up.
Pulling the door shut and it's latched.
So go ahead and push on the door so you can prove that it's not opening up.
It's latched. Okay. Now, if the handle's slightly turned and not brought back to center, it tends to stay in that spot. You pull it to and you may think it's latched, like right now it did. Figures that do that and it stays latched. But if you pull it to and you think it's latched and you have a hold of the handle and you let go, it doesn't actually latch. Push the door just slightly and it opens quite a ways. So,
yeah, so as you can see there, we really approached it more from a, hey, they're claiming this is going on. Let's see if we can figure out what's actually happening. And I think actually it was Steve that figured out what was going on. Do you want to kind of explain that, Steve?
I thought it was you.
Hey, I'm giving you all the credit, man. I just go along for the ride.
Okay, I'll talk about it. So what we found out is that particular door handle, like was said in the video, if you grab the handle and you turn it, which some people do when they're closing a door, they don't just grab the handle and pull. They grab the handle and they twist it. I'm guilty of it. I do it myself. But the way the latch was installed, if you grab the handle and you turn it, when you pull it closed and you let go, it doesn't latch properly on the inside. So the door will stay closed until it loosens up. And what we also found out too was that the door was at an angle. So instead of it being vertical, it was tilted back. The whole frame itself, not just the door, the frame was tilted back.
And underneath that could have been just from the fact that it was such an old building.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Settling over time.
Because that room was in the add-on. It was not, you can tell that there was walls that were added at some point, because that area through that door is where the entrance to, or the Michigan cellar was at. So it's the one where the door is on the floor. You actually pick up looks like a hatch. And also underneath that area in the basement was where the furnace was at. And the furnace was running. The vibrating noise that you hear in the video is the furnace. So as it's vibrating, it's slowly working the door open. They hear the click and they think someone's coming through the door, and they turn around and look, and the door swings open because it's angled that way.
Yeah, and I think that was fun. Just as much as we like doing paranormal investigations and finding those things and catching those EVPs or seeing the black masses passing in front of us, it's also just as rewarding when we go out and we're able to find a logical explanation for something, and we can go back to the client and say, hey, look, while you're doing this, there's really nothing to be afraid of, because we found out that this is the logical explanation for why this is happening. We've been in hundreds of investigations. I don't know if we've seen a door that opened quite that wide on its own.
Not like that.
No, but it's an old building. That's probably why it did that. But that's kind of how we approach most of our investigations. We really go in and we really dig into what the claims are and try to figure out what it is. And then afterwards, if we can't come up with an explanation, which, to be honest, we've been in a lot of places where we can't come up with an explanation, then we start to delve more into the paranormal side of things and try to see if we can figure out what's going on. But that's really kind of how we approach almost all of our investigations. We really want to try to help our clients feel more comfortable in their home. This is their space, right? And even when we go in, we don't want to make, if there is something paranormal there, we don't want it to feel uncomfortable with us. So a lot of times we'll go and we'll introduce ourselves to whatever may be lurking in the house and try to see if we can make contact with it and catch evidence of it. But that's really kind of how we operate and really what our focus is on. Like I said, we've got a lot of other evidence that I think we're going to show in the future. I think our goal is really to kind of have a podcast once every 2 weeks, hopefully on Thursday evenings, right around the same time. I'm not sure how long each one's going to run. Really, it's going to kind of depend on the conversation and the evidence that we're showing. But this is just kind of a good way to kind of get things kick-started for us and kind of get out there and start talking about some of that. Anything else you want to add, Steve?
Yeah, and actually at that investigation, we did actually catch evidence. It's not, we didn't go there and we saw a door that wasn't working right and said, oh, that's good. We did. And it's funny looking at that video, being at that time, because you think about how even the technology that we use has changed. Because I was filming that on a Digital 8 Sony Handycam, with a Digital 8 cassette. I didn't have an extra IR light. I mean, it was just the camera. I didn't even have a voice recorder at the time. So everything that was going on that I had at the time was all through that camera. Now we got, fancy 4K GoPro clones and, great lights and, phenomenal recorders, which help us, we've caught some great evidence. But it's funny when, looking at that, and even like going back and listening to some of the EVPs that I pulled off the tape, how scratchy they are. You can still make out some of the things that are going on, but it's just, the technology is definitely evolving quite a bit and helping, investigators do our jobs a little bit better.
It's funny you mentioned that, Steve. The other piece that we caught there, I don't know why I didn't think about getting this ready ahead of time, but while you were talking, I did try to take that and convert the file. So why don't we pull that up?
Okay.
That may be one of my favorite.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite ones because you and I had a little bit of banter right at the beginning about it. So it's kind of funny. Let me see if I can pull that video file up here real quick. Here's hoping it works.
Is that you?
Wasn't me.
So we're going to jump back a second, play it again. And I will say that we did all eat food before this, so it wasn't one of our stomachs growling, but let's take another listen here.
And it was not Taco Bell.
Well, maybe not this time.
Is that you?
Wasn't me.
What was that noise?
Sound like coming from behind you.
Thanks.
No, I'm serious.
It was like a growling noise, wasn't it?
No, more like a grinding noise, like something.
Scooting along the floor, maybe?
Yeah.
What the frack was that?
Well, I had to. Hopefully, got it on tape. Steve and Mike, EVP, second floor. We just heard a, I don't know, shuffle or a grind or something
noise?
like a scraping noise coming from this area back here.
I was standing in here at the time, but I did not. Oh, that was weird.
Yeah, so we looked around for things. Let's play just that part of the beginning again that we know is not Taco Bell.
Is that you?
Wasn't me.
What was that noise?
Sound like coming from behind you.
At that point, I'm like, it better not be coming from behind me. I'm
Well,
really
and
glad I self-censored on that, by the way, and used a different F word than ones I may have been caught using in the past. I'm very thankful for that on this video.
And since we were like still, in terms of investigators, still kind of new. Well, even these days when you catch or you experience some things, it's that little bit of excitement. It's like, oh, that was cool, because it is cool, and stuff like that happens. But I don't know. So when you heard it as a growl. I heard it as, it sounded like a piece of plastic, almost like a bucket that was being pushed across the floor. So you get different perceptions based on where you're at and where the sound's coming from. And that's, one of the things you always have to talk about and compare notes to try to figure out what was actually hurt.
And we went digging after that. We looked at, a lot of things up there. What you don't see on the rest of the video is obviously we're trying to figure out what it was. We started looking for a bucket, and you saw a garbage can laying there and scooting along the floor different ways, standing up and scooting it. We never really found what that was.
No.
But we knew it wasn't Taco Bell.
Right. In the layout of the building, it's an old style building where there is an apartment above the business. So we were actually up at the second floor of the apartment, which it's actually quite a ways up on the steps because it had very high ceilings in the business. So we weren't really like, 8-foot high or 10-foot high ceilings. This was probably about a good almost 15 to 18 feet above the first floor. And they were fixing it up. They were doing construction and renovation, which, from experience, sometimes stirs up activity. But we were the only two up there. The door was locked behind us, so we make sure that we try to control the environment as much as possible so that we don't contaminate as much. So everybody else was down inside the business itself. We were upstairs. And there was more that even happened up there when we got to the third floor. Which I don't know if you have that video or not.
I don't have that video, unfortunately. I was digging for videos, and I know I have it somewhere. I'll have to pull it up. Maybe at another episode we can show that. Yeah.
And again, being our first preparation, we'll learn this stuff as we go along. So
so it's pretty that was a fun investigation. The great moment about that night too was being up in Romeo. It was late at night, and I remember walking outside, and there was just like a full moon up there. I think it was kind of around the fall time, so the leaves were kind of off the trees, and I just caught a really cool picture on a really old camera, on a cell phone camera back. That's how old we are. We were like, "Ooh, look, there's a camera on a cell phone now." But I caught a really cool picture of the moon. I remember that picture just was one of my favorite ones I ever took. It was being my second investigation. It was really awesome. But yeah, so we've caught some pretty cool things. We've caught some interesting things, but again, we tried to debunk it. But the growl one was great just because Steve's like, it sounds like it came from behind you. I'm like, it better not be. What the heck was that? So that was fun. We enjoyed that.
And I didn't say that to make you uneasy, although I've not been above fooling around or messing with people a little bit on investigations, but it literally did sound like it came from behind you.
Yeah, I think that being our second investigation, nowadays, if something like that happens and it comes from one behind us, we're going to let people know, that came from behind you, and we're pretty sure it's about to eat your hand. So we probably would go a little bit further with some of our joking, but no, you were legit. It sounded like it came from behind me. That was pretty cool. All right. Well,
and especially these days, I mean, when we hear something like that, we are going to go towards it. We're not going to do the running or, the freaking out stuff like that. We understand there's entertainment value in that, but these are people who are asking for our help. We're trying to have a little bit of professionalism. I guess you can call it that.
A little bit. No, we do maintain professionalism pretty well.
Yeah, we're always very respectful of the places we go to and the people that contact us, because in a lot of cases, I mean, for something like this, when someone is contacting a team, it's usually, for them, it's a last resort. It's not a desperation, because they've exhausted all other options. People don't believe them. They can't call the cops for noises in their house and stuff like that. And it's like, some people get scared. Some people just like to have it happen and they want to come out and have people confirm. But yeah, there's sometimes where people they just legitimately are freaked out and need help and don't know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, we're going to wrap up just, because we didn't get a chance to do this before. I'm Mike Priest. I'm the co-owner, team lead of the Scientific Paranormal Investigations of Michigan. Steve Alzeric is actually our tech manager for the team. In the coming weeks, we're going to have some of our other team members on here. We've got our case manager, Shannon, her husband, Brian, my mom, Sandy, who's the other co-owner of the team. We've got Dennis and Todd and
Donna.
And Donna. We're probably about 9-10 members strong. And I think we've built a pretty good camaraderie amongst our team, which I think is one of the neat things about it. We start investigations and we wind up joining teams and build new friendships. I think that's one of the cool things that's kind of come out of this. So I really
it's a lot of like-minded people, and we're all kind of a little strange in our own way, and we kind of it mixes well together.
Yeah. You guys heard it. He said, I have a mind. You can't take it back now. It's on the internet. It's proof. So, all right, man. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that. Again, we're going to be back in a couple of weeks, probably 2 weeks from today at 6:30, and we'll have some new team members on here and some new evidence. And other than that, we'll see you guys next time.
Yep. And one thing too, real quick, is what we're not going to be doing is we're not really going to be going over other groups' evidence or other information, or we're not going to be talking about any the controversies and stuff or things like that. I mean, we're trying to talk about our team, and we know that there is always the chance that other people are going to latch onto these things and they're going to say stuff and comments and things, and that's fine. We hope that it opens up some, legitimate conversation. We're not sticking anything to anybody. We're not trying to do anything. Look, this is just our experiences, and we're trying to show what we do and what we've experienced, and hopefully it helps somebody or get some entertainment out of it,
Yeah. And I've said it many times at some of our different speaking engagements. I never try to tell somebody this is what it is. I try to give them the background and the information of the environment that we were in at the time and present the evidence to them and let them formulate their own decisions. I don't want to tell somebody what something is and what something isn't. Let them see it for themselves and take it at face value and see what they think of it. All right. Well, Steve, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. I think this was a pretty fun time. I hope other people out there enjoyed it. Maybe next time we'll get some really cool music in the background. That'd be kind of neat. I don't know about that, but we'll see what happens. But other than that, 2 weeks from now, we'll be back with a couple other team members and some new evidence, and we'll keep moving forward. So those of you that watched it, we appreciate it. I hate to do this. Remember to like and subscribe. I hate that. I didn't want to do it, but I had to because it's out there now. So like and subscribe. We appreciate it, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Have a good one.